need you, baby. Then don't have a baby. And don't think, baby.
The song that I had just put down being played, I was so embarrassed. Because a few of my brothers were listening. Mike was listening to it. I think Randy was listening to it. My father was listening to it. And then my father said, "You're gonna sing."
Right.
And I said, no, I don't want to sing.
What has Janet Jackson finally revealed at 58? Were the rumors about her family, the Jacksons, true all along? For years, people have speculated about secrets and struggles within the famous family.
Such delusions don't it make you wanna scream?
Now, Janet has spoken up, confirming some shocking truths. What made her stay quiet for so long? And how does this change what we know about the Jackson family? Let's dive into the details.
Janet Jackson is the youngest of the Jackson musical dynasty, but she's so much more than that. People didn't really expect much of her when she was a kid, I don't think, because she was the little cute one.
Janet Damita Jo Jackson was born on May 16, 1966, in Gary, Indiana. She grew up as the youngest of 10 kids in a hardworking family. The Jacksons lived in a small 2-bedroom house on Jackson Street. Her mother, Catherine, loved music and played the clarinet and piano. She had dreams of becoming a country music singer, but worked part-time at Sears to help the family. Her father, Joe, worked as a crane operator and played guitar in a local rhythm and blues band to earn extra money. The Jackson family was full of talent. Janet had 2 sisters, Rebby and LaToya, and 6 brothers, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, Michael, and Randy. Sadly, Marlon's twin brother Brandon died shortly after birth. The Jacksons were Jehovah's Witnesses, though Janet later decided not to follow any organized religion. When Janet was very young, her brothers formed the famous group, the Jackson 5. They started performing in their area and signed a record deal with Motown in 1969. Their first big hit made them stars, and the family moved to Los Angeles to start a new chapter in their lives. Janet didn't plan to be a singer at first. She dreamed of becoming a horse jockey or a lawyer, but with such a talented family, she was encouraged to try entertainment. At just 7 years old, she performed with her siblings at the MGM Casino in Las Vegas. Around this time, she also began acting. In 1976, she appeared on her family's variety show, The Jacksons. Janet's big acting break came when she starred as Penny Gordon Woods in the popular sitcom Good Times in 1977. She also appeared on other shows like Different Strokes and Fame. Though she had success as an actress, it wasn't always easy. She faced emotional stress from her secret marriage to singer James DeBarge and felt pressured by her father, who was also her manager. At the age of 15, Janet's father arranged a recording deal for her with A&M Records. Her first album, Janet Jackson, came out in 1982. It had some success, especially on R&B charts, but it didn't make a big impact. Her second album, Dream Street, was released 2 years later in 1984. It included the hit song Don't Stand Another Chance, which did well on R&B charts. Both albums were light pop music, and while they didn't make her a superstar, they showed her growing talent.
Both Michael and LaToya in their biographies talked about how strict Joseph was, whether it was like physical abuse or it was more emotional abuse. They were scared of him.
Joe Jackson, father to the iconic Jackson family, was as controversial as he was influential. Known for creating one of the most successful musical dynasties, he also left behind a legacy of pain for his children. Joe, who passed away in 2018 at the age of 89, famously ran the Jackson household with a heavy hand, earning both respect and fear from his kids. So, what was it really like growing up with Joe Jackson as a father? Joe believed in strict discipline. For him, success came through hard work and fear. Michael and Janet both spoke about the punishments they faced as children. Joe didn't hesitate to hit his kids if they misbehaved. Michael described being beaten with belts, cords, or anything Joe could grab. He'd lose his temper, Michael said. He'd throw you against the wall. The fear of Joe was so intense for Michael that he said he often felt sick just being in the same room with his father.
She possibly didn't suffer as much as the older kids, but she still was under the strict control of her dad and had to follow the family line.
Janet, who was much younger than her brothers, only experienced Joe's physical discipline once. Even so, the fear of crossing him was always present.
And I can't remember what it was that I did. I can't remember if I truly deserved it. But my father's never touched me aside from that time.
Joe justified his actions saying, "I'm glad I was tough because look what I came out with. I came out with kids everybody loved. The Jackson children weren't even allowed to call Joe Dad or Daddy. Instead, he insisted they call him Joseph." For Joe, this wasn't just a nickname, it was a way to maintain control. "I wanted to call him Daddy so bad," Michael once said, but Joe made it clear, "I'm not Daddy, I'm Joseph to you."
I think my father means well. I think he means well and wants nothing but the best for his kids. I just think that the way he went about certain things wasn't the best way.
Janet shared a similar story saying, "He told us once, and we didn't question it again." For Joe, it was about keeping respect and authority, but for his children, it created distance. Michael often spoke about how the fear Joe instilled in him stayed with him for life. Even as an adult, he said he was scared of his father. This fear created a wedge between them, one that couldn't be healed. "We don't speak that much," Michael admitted before his death. Joe's presence was so overwhelming that Michael said he would faint or vomit when his father entered the room. Janet, on the other hand, seemed to have a more forgiving perspective. "He's set in his ways," she said. "I think he did the best he could." While Janet wasn't as close to Joe, she didn't harbor the same resentment Michael did. Despite their pain, both Michael and Janet acknowledged the role Joe played in their success. Joe was determined to keep his kids focused and away from trouble. Growing up in Gary, Indiana, he feared gangs and bad influences, so he made sure his children worked hard. "He wanted nothing but the best for us," Janet admitted, though she didn't agree with how he went about it. Michael also credited Joe for his career, saying, "God bless my father because he did some wonderful things. He was brilliant."
Maybe how he was raised, doing what he thought was best, not knowing any better.
On one hand, he raised some of the most successful entertainers the world has ever known. On the other, his tough love caused lifelong scars for his children. While Janet seemed to make peace with her father's methods, Michael struggled to forgive him. Joe's legacy isn't black or white. It's as complicated as the family he raised. His children will always remember him, not just as a father, but as the man who shaped their lives, for better or worse. Janet also shared more about her life in a new documentary called Janet Jackson. In the documentary, Janet talks about the challenges she has faced, such as the tragic death of her brother, Michael Jackson.
Now on to one of our other big stories. The king of pop has died. Michael Jackson, the pop music and dance innovator, passed away yesterday.
And the child sexual abuse allegations made against him. These are subjects that have been difficult for her to talk about before. One of the most emotional parts of the documentary is when Janet talks about how much attention comes with being part of the famous Jackson family. She says, "There's a great deal of scrutiny that comes with having that last name." The documentary even shows footage of Michael Jackson at Neverland Ranch and walking out of court with Janet and their mother after a day of the 2005 trial. Michael had been accused of child molestation in that trial, but he was found not guilty. Janet was asked in the documentary if the accusations against Michael had an impact on her career. She answers, "Yeah, guilty by association. I guess that's what they call it, right?" This shows how the accusations, even though they were about Michael, affected her as well. Michael was cleared of the accusations in 2005 and earlier in 1993 when he was investigated for similar allegations. No evidence was found, though a settlement was reached. After his death in 2009, more people came forward with accusations, but the Jackson family has always denied them.
Before you label or condemn me, don't treat me like a criminal, because I am innocent.
Throughout her career, Janet has rarely spoken about the allegations against her brother, but she has always stood by him. She was there for him during his trial, and she always supported him. Janet's own career has faced ups and downs too. She was one of the most successful pop stars for many years, with hits topping the charts in the 80s and 90s. But her career slowed down in the 2000s, especially after the infamous 2004 Super Bowl incident. During the halftime show, Justin Timberlake accidentally exposed Janet's breast when part of her costume was ripped off. This became known as Nipplegate, and it caused a lot of public backlash, but the blame was mostly placed on Janet, not Justin. Janet and her brother Randy Jackson helped produce the Janet Jackson documentary. The film goes into detail about Janet's life, including her return to music after taking a break and her personal life. Janet talks about becoming a mother later in life and reflects on her struggles and successes. One important part of the documentary also looks at her Super Bowl performance and the consequences she faced. In 2021, Justin Timberlake publicly apologized to Janet for his role in the controversy, something he had never done before. The documentary Janet Jackson will show viewers a side of Janet that they have never seen before. It's a chance for Janet to tell her own story and share her thoughts on her life, her family, and the challenges she's faced. She says in the trailer, they build you up, and then once you get there, they're so quick to tear you down. This documentary is Janet's chance to finally speak out about it all and tell her truth.
Smooth criminal.
Janet still misses her brother, Michael Jackson, even though it's been many years since his death. In an interview with the BBC, Janet shared how she feels emotional when she thinks about her late brother. Michael, known as the King of Pop, passed away in 2009 at the age of 50. Janet said that when she performs their song, Scream, during her Together Again tour, she still feels a deep sadness. The song Scream was a duet that Janet and Michael made together in 1995. Janet said that every time she sings the song live, it brings back memories of her brother. She even shows a video of Michael during her performance, so it's like he's still with her in a way. It's emotional, Janet explained. Listening to him every night, seeing him, remembering us.
We're such delusions, don't it make you wanna scream?
Janet remembered the time when they created the song together. She said they wrote it in Michael's apartment in New York. I relived that whole journey, Janet said, listening to him sing it, remembering what he was going through at that time. Janet explained that she was always there for her brother, supporting him just like a little sister should. At that time, Michael was going through tough challenges in his life. He was accused of child abuse in 1993. He went to trial for these accusations, but in the end, they settled out of court for $25 million. Later, in 2005, Michael faced another trial, but he was found not guilty of child molestation. Janet was by his side through all of it. I was his support system, she said.
Before you label or condemn me, don't treat me like a criminal, because I am innocent.
Even though Michael is no longer here, Janet still defends him. She believes that his music and his legacy will always live on. In an interview from 2019, she said, I love it when I see kids emulating him when adults still listen to his music. She knows that Michael's music had a huge impact on the world. She also said she is grateful for the success that her family has had. She doesn't want to sound arrogant, but simply wants to show appreciation for what they've done. Janet also opened up about how the allegations against Michael affected her career. In her 2022 documentary, Janet, she explained that people sometimes treated her like she was guilty just because she was Michael's sister. She said, guilty by association. Janet also revealed that there were problems behind the scenes when they made the video for Scream. Michael and Janet's schedules were kept separate, and she felt that the people around them were trying to make it a competition between them. She was hurt by this because she only wanted to help her brother, not fight with him. Michael's death was tragic. He passed away from a drug overdose in 2009, and his doctor was later found guilty of causing his death. Janet still carries the weight of missing her brother, and it's clear that his memory will always be a part of her life and her music.
You can't eat your baby, then don't have a baby. And don't think, baby.
Now, let's talk about the Jacksons' Victory Tour in 1984. It was supposed to be a huge family event, but it ended up revealing a lot of problems within the Jackson family. At the time, Michael was the biggest star in the world thanks to his massive success with the album Thriller. It was the only tour where all 6 Jackson brothers performed together, even though Jackie Jackson had to miss part of it because he got injured. The tour lasted from July to December 1984 and included 55 concerts across the United States and Canada. The Jacksons performed in front of around 2.5 million fans, and most people came to see Michael because of his huge popularity from Thriller and his earlier album Off the Wall.
Keep on, when the first stop, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on.
The tour made a lot of money, about $75 million, which is about $220 million today. It also set a new record for the highest grossing tour at the time. Michael wowed fans with his famous glove, black sequined jacket, and the moonwalk. The choreographer for the tour was Paula Abdul, and boxing promoter Don King helped with promotion. Despite the tour being called a world tour, it only included shows in the United States and Canada. However, behind the scenes, things weren't as smooth. Michael began acting very differently from his brothers during the tour. He started staying at his own hotels while the rest of the Jacksons traveled together. He flew on a private jet while his brothers had to fly commercial. This caused a lot of tension as the brothers felt left out. Michael also became frustrated with people around him. He demanded that a publicist be fired and refused to perform until it happened. Michael's brothers were also upset with him. Michael turned down a big offer from Paramount Pictures to film one of the concerts, but then hired his own crew to film the shows without telling his brothers. This created even more drama. Another issue came up when Michael started taking child star Emmanuel Lewis along with him, even though they had agreed that only the Jacksons would travel in the tour van. Things got worse when Michael flew with Sean Lennon, the son of John Lennon and Yoko Ono, instead of his brothers. This caused even more bad feelings. By the middle of the tour, the Jackson brothers weren't even traveling together anymore. They began taking separate cars to the concerts and staying on different floors of their hotels. They didn't talk to each other much, and there were lawyers involved representing Michael, Jermaine, and other brothers. A family friend said it was the worst experience Michael ever had with his brothers, with emotions like jealousy and denial getting in the way. Health problems also affected the tour. Jackie Jackson had to sit out the first half because of an injury, and Michael himself became so stressed from the fighting with his brothers that he had to be put under medical care for a while. The Victory Tour should have been a time for the Jackson family to come together and celebrate their success. Instead, it revealed the growing divide between Michael and his brothers, showing that fame and success can sometimes tear families apart.
We have just learned that Janet Jackson has given birth to a healthy baby boy. Yay for her. The 50-year-old singer had a, quote, stress-free, healthy delivery and is resting comfortably.
Janet became a mother at 50, and this decision brought both praise and criticism from the public. How does she manage motherhood while being a famous personality? Let's take a closer look.
There are increased risks for chromosomal problems like Down syndrome. Also for the mom, there's increased risk of high blood pressure and diabetes during the pregnancy.
When Janet announced she was having her son, Isa, at 50, many people had opinions. Some questioned if she was too old to be a new mom. Others supported her, saying age shouldn't matter when it comes to raising a child. Janet, however, stays focused on what's important, being the best mom she can be. She doesn't seem bothered by what others say. Instead, she talks about how becoming a mother has been the most beautiful experience of her life. She once said, "The biggest thing I've done is become a mother. It's changed my life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything." Janet always dreamed of having 3 kids, but now she believes 1 is enough. She wants to make sure her son gets all her love and attention. For the past 8 years, Janet has been living quietly in London. This move happened after her 3rd marriage to Wissam Al-Mana, a businessman from Qatar. They had their son, Isa, in 2017, but split up just weeks later. Despite their separation, Janet and Wissam co-parent Isa together. Janet's own childhood was far from ordinary. She started working at a very young age, performing in front of millions. Her parents, especially her father, Joe Jackson, pushed her and her siblings into show business. While this brought her fame and success, it also took away her chance to have a normal childhood. For Isa, Janet wants things to be different. "I worked and he doesn't. That's it," she says firmly. Janet believes childhood is precious and should be enjoyed. She wants Isa to have fun and experience life as a kid because, as she says, you're an adult for the rest of your life.
That's up from just 144 in 1997. But it's not without dangers.
When it comes to parenting, Janet has taken lessons from her own upbringing. She admits that there are things she wishes her parents had done differently, and she's making sure to do better for her son. At the same time, she gives credit to her parents for teaching her important values and keeping her grounded. Janet's relationship with her father, Joe Jackson, has been complicated. He was known for being strict and sometimes abusive with his children. While Janet and her siblings had painful memories, time seems to have softened her view. In her documentary, she called her father a good man and expressed love for her late brother Michael, despite the controversies surrounding him.
The Jackson dynasty mourning the death of Tito Jackson. He was 70 years old.
Janet Jackson has spoken for the first time about her brother Tito Jackson's passing. It's been 1 month since Tito, a beloved member of the Jackson family, died at the age of 70. Janet, now 58, shared a heartfelt message on her Instagram stories to honor him. She posted a black and white photo of herself as a young girl standing with Tito. In the picture, Tito is wearing a fedora and a patterned shirt. Alongside the image, Janet wrote, "May you rest in eternal peace. I miss you so much." Her words touched fans, showing the deep bond she had with her brother. Tito passed away on September 15, 2024. He had a medical emergency while at a shopping center in Gallup, New Mexico. According to the local police, officers were called about someone needing urgent medical help around 6:15 p.m. An ambulance was sent right away, and Tito was taken to a nearby hospital. Sadly, he was pronounced dead after arriving there. Authorities are still investigating the cause of his death. Tito's 3 sons shared their grief with the world. The brothers, who are part of the music group 3T, posted a loving tribute to their dad on their group Instagram page. "Our father was an incredible man who cared deeply about everyone," they wrote. Some people know him as Tito Jackson from the Jackson 5, others as Coach Tito, and to us, he was Papa T. No matter what, he will always be missed, the brothers added. "It will always be Tito time for us. He taught us to love one another, and we will carry that message forward. We love you, Pops." Fans of the Jackson family continue to send love and prayers to Janet and the rest of the family. Losing a loved one is never easy, but the messages from friends, fans, and family remind us all to hold on to the good memories and cherish the time we have together. Rest in peace, Tito Jackson. You are missed by so many.